And I just want to move forward. So I probably will, because you have to grapple with this sort of stuff. But it makes me so upset that they're asking a lot of other people to sacrifice, and then not doing it. Not only not sacrificing themselves, but really making an extremely selfish decision. And I say they because it was really the full family and his closest advisors.
That's right.
Made a decision that was very, very selfish, and we're dealing with the consequences. And I wouldn't say he's the number one reason we have Trump right now. I definitely would put that on Mitch McConnell and the Republican senators who didn't convict him after January 6th when they all knew they should have. But he certainly plays a role.
Oh yeah, very, very central role, very central role. And listen, like Kamala Harris could have decided to distance herself from him, even in spite of the fact that he pressured her not to. But it does just show a level of ego and selfishness, to your point, that is quite extraordinary. I remember him making some comment at the time in an interview. He was asked, well, what happens if you lose to Trump? He's like, well, as long as I tried my best, it'll be fine. It's like, I mean, this guy's a fascist. Like, this is not.
I was doing a work beach vacation there. I was going to a Matt Gaetz event in the Panhandle, but also my family was at the beach, and I went out back to the beach to watch that interview. I mean, you're triggering me right now just thinking about it. I was so enraged.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever been madder at somebody, and also to do the thing where it's like our democracy's on the line,
right?
And also,
I get a participation award for trying my bestest. It's like, no, it's not good enough. You have to win. You have to win. And if you aren't the person to do that, you needed to have stepped aside a year ago so that, someone who was more able could carry the torch. And I guess the big question is if they've learned from this, and I think some have and some haven't. This is, in the context of, so David Hogg was elected vice chair of the DNC. And David, first of all, I think is very impressive in terms of there aren't a lot of Democrats who really understand new media, know how to grab attention, whatever. Just on that metric, he is very effective. But also, he's obviously really trying to shake things up within the party. He was on with Bill Maher this past weekend and made some comments that he doesn't mention the name Jim Clyburn, but this is clearly directed at Jim Clyburn, who previously, made some statement about like, oh, what do they want me to do? Resign and end my life from Congress. So this sparked a lot of dialogue within the Democratic Party. Let's go ahead and take a listen to a little bit of David Hogg here on Bill Maher.
What I'm trying to do with this initiative, with Leaders We Deserve, the organization that we're working with, is to challenge Democrats that we feel like are failing to meet the moment in safe congressional seats that don't risk us losing the House, and say to them, look, nobody is entitled to their position of power, because ultimately the positions of power in this country don't belong to any member of Congress that is out there. They belong to the people that vote them into office. Part of what happens in politics is people want to do two things at the same time that are incompatible. They want to keep the same people in the positions of power that they're in that are individually beneficial to them, and they want to get back to winning. But we're not going to be able to do that with the same cast of characters that got us here. And the answer to that is to use democracy within our own party to give voters the option of voting for somebody new so that they at least have the option.
Right. So you want to get rid of the dead wood.
Effectively, yes. But it's not just a matter of age, to be clear. Unfortunately, there have been a few members that have come out that have said, well, if I retire, my life is effectively over. And what I would say is get over yourself. This isn't about you. This is about our country, and it's about your constituents. Nobody is I don't care if you've been there for decades or just one term. That seat is not yours. It is your constituents. That is who you're there to serve. And if they choose to serve somebody else, so be it. That's all we're trying to do with Leaders We Deserve.
So the quote that he's referencing there, put the next piece up on the screen, is this from Jim Clyburn. He said, Nancy left her seat, Steny left his seat, I left my seat. What the hell am I supposed to do now? What do you want? Me to give up my life? And so Clyburn is saying, listen, we step back from our leadership positions, but he continues to hold the seat and run for re-election. And that appears to be what David Hogg is referencing here. What do you think of what David Hogg is trying to do at the DNC, and also the pushback that he's received for it?
Yeah. We might finally get to our disagreement in the last block. I don't know. I think everybody could get over themselves in this story. I don't know. The David Hogg thing, look, if David Hogg had not run for DNC vice chair and decided to start a group that was primarying older Democrats and saying we want to get new youthful Democrats in, and it's ideologically, I don't care. Like maybe it's in some scenarios it's a Dan Osborne type, maybe it's a moderate Bulwark type, maybe it's a DSA type. So I'm okay with that program. That's a good program. Getting a younger, more diverse, both ideologically and racially group of people into the party. I'd be for all that. But he decided to run for DNC vice chair, right? And to me, this is like the thing about all this, about how just pathetically incompetent the DNC is. And I do, I look at the story and it's just like, there are conspiracy theories out there about how the DNC is like orchestrating things. Like the DNC can't orchestrate a 2-car parade. Like the DNC can't do anything. It was insane for them to put somebody who was vastly more famous, and to your point, vastly more, kind of online and in the public eye than the chairman as vice chair, and have him be a total loose cannon. Like what is the point of that? Like what did they think that they were going to get? And so now you have somebody in the DNC who's like firing inside the house and going on to Bill Maher and going on to all these shows and like critiquing other people within the party. Like that's not the job of the DNC vice chair. It could be a job of an outside group that wants to do this, but it's not his job on the inside. And so now like the DNC, rather than focusing on what they should be focusing on, which is how to beat as many Republicans as possible in the midterms, they have this internal firing squad going on, and they're having a struggle session about whether the gender balance is right. I mean, it is like the most pathetic, embarrassing organization that I've ever seen. And so to me, like that's my takeaway from this story, is that like the eye is not on the ball for basically any of the characters in this story.
See, I hear what you're saying, but I would say that I support the internal firing squad, and I think the lack of an internal firing squad is exactly how Democrats ended up as pathetic and losing as many races as they did. Because what did we hear when it was Biden? It was, oh, we can't have a primary. We can't be critiquing each other. We don't want the internal firing squad. Everybody's got to, stay unified and stay united, not criticize each other. And in the end, that ends up in disaster. Whereas, to give the counterpoint, the Hillary Clinton-Barack Obama primary was pretty vicious. It was raucous. You go back and watch, they were taking some real shots at each other. And guess what? You end up with, a candidate who is able to not only win, but win handily and run for re-election and win quite handily there as well. I know you remember that one year because you're on the other side working for Mitt Romney on that particular campaign. But, I hear what you're saying about like maybe this wasn't the place for David Hogg to make his stand, but I think he's thinking about it of, if you want to improve the party, if the goal of the DNC should be, to your point, winning races. And part of that is rejuvenating this party and making sure we don't have another Dianne Feinstein cover-up or Joe Biden-style cover-up, that we have people who are actually effective and responsive and, embracing those small d democratic values.
It's a fair counterpoint. I would support strategic competition. I would just say, to me, this looks like a total cluster fork, not strategic competition within the party. I just don't. Again, if what I was seeing from David Hogg was, hey, I'm recruiting all these new people who are, going to be the future face of the party and are more reflective of working class voters. And I'm going into red states and I'm going to recruit people that can actually win in these districts. And, we're going to go into deep blue districts and we're going to find people that are younger with more vigor to challenge. Then okay, I would be for that. But I see mostly like tweets and press releases and bickering at James Carville and Jim Clyburn and media appearances. So I don't know. I think competition can be good, but being strategic and smart can also be good. And I don't think either the DNC or Hogg over the past month have demonstrated a lot of smarts or strategy.
Well, far be it from me to defend the DNC, so we can end on that note. Tim, thank you so much. And just tell people where they can find you and follow your podcast.
Thanks, Crystal. Yeah, no, check us out. I'm The Bulwark over on YouTube, The Bulwark Podcast. You can check us out on Substack also, thebulwark.com. I'm here in my hole all the time talking. So, just come find me.
All right. Thank you, Tim. It was great to chat with you. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Crystal. Appreciate you having me.
Hey, if you like that video, hit the like button or leave a comment below. It really helps get the show to more people.
And if you'd like to get the full show ad-free and in your inbox every morning, you can sign up at breakingpoints.com.
That's right. Get the full show, help support the future of independent media at breakingpoints.com.